There are moments when your brain notices something is wrong before you can explain why. You just feel it. A quiet pressure in the back of your head telling you the situation in front of you isn't what it claims to be. This happened in Coast Mountains. I had a free day and decided to take a solo hike. Nothing extreme. Just a simple trail I'd done before. Water, snacks, a light pack. The plan was straightforward: hike in for a few hours, enjoy the view, and head back before evening. The trail is popular near the start. You see couples, families, people with dogs. But the deeper you go, the quieter it gets. A couple miles in, the sounds of people fade away. And that silence is exactly what most hikers are looking for. I wasn't worried about it. I'd done solo hikes plenty of times. But about 2 miles into the trail, I started hearing footsteps behind me. At first, I didn't think much about it. Trails are shared. Someone eventually catches up, passes you, and keeps going. So when I reached a wider section of the path, I stepped to the side like people usually do. I pretended to adjust the strap on my backpack so they could move past. But they didn't pass me. 2 guys walked up and stopped. Both had hiking packs. Both had small radios clipped to their shoulder straps. One of them had a relaxed smile, the kind people use when they want to seem friendly without saying anything yet. The other one didn't smile at all. He just looked at me for a second, then glanced past me up the trail like he was studying the terrain. The smiling guy asked if I was hiking alone. I said yes. Then he explained they were helping with a search for a missing hiker. Volunteers, he said. They asked if I had seen anyone on the trail that morning. I told them no. It had been quiet the entire time. Then I asked who they were looking for. A woman named Sarah. That was the first moment something felt off. Not immediately obvious. Just small details that didn't sit right. So I asked where the search started and where the command post was. Their answers were vague. Down near the trailhead. Somewhere closer to the ridge. Every response sounded like an answer, but none of them actually contained real information. While we were talking, the quiet guy moved slightly. Just one step. But it forced me to squeeze around him if I wanted to keep hiking. The smiling guy stayed directly in front of me. Then the questions shifted. They stopped asking about the missing hiker. Now they were asking about me. Did anyone know I was out here? Was someone expecting me back today? Did I have a satellite device? Was there phone service higher up on the trail? Was I sharing my location with anyone? Something in my gut tightened. So I lied. I told them a friend knew my exact hiking loop and was meeting me later that afternoon. The quiet guy nodded slowly, like he was mentally recording that. Then they suggested I walk with them down to the next junction. Just for a minute. That was when the alarm bells really started going off. I tried to end the conversation politely. I said good luck with the search and stepped uphill like I was continuing my hike. The quiet guy moved again. Not aggressively. But just enough that he was suddenly in the way. The smiling guy quickly said it would be easier if I just walked with them. So I nodded. Because in situations like that, staying calm feels safer than escalating things. But instead of continuing uphill, I turned downhill toward the junction. If there was a trail split, there was a chance other hikers would be nearby. I kept my pace steady. Didn't run. Didn't look back. But they followed. One just behind me. One off my shoulder. Close enough that if I stopped walking, they would stop too. A minute later we rounded a bend. And that's when I saw the trail junction. And the third guy. He was standing right beside the sign. Not resting. Not adjusting gear. Just standing there with a backpack on. Waiting. When he saw us, the first person he looked at wasn't the 2 men walking with me. He looked directly at me. That was the moment everything in my head locked into place. 3 men. 3 trails branching off. And suddenly the way they spread out started to matter. The third guy drifted toward the left trail. The quiet guy stayed behind me on the uphill path. The smiling one stood near the downhill route. No one touched me. No one told me I couldn't leave. But the space around me felt smaller. Like every exit had someone standing near it. They kept the conversation casual. But they weren't talking about the missing hiker anymore. Now they were talking about my phone. One of them pointed at the pocket on my shoulder strap and asked what my battery percentage was. Battery. Not service. Then the quiet guy asked again if anyone was expecting me back. And whether my friend actually had my location. I repeated the lie. Tried to sound annoyed, like he was being overly cautious. Then I said I forgot my water filter further up the trail and I was going to jog back and grab it. I turned to head uphill. The quiet guy suddenly snapped. Just one word. No. The smiling guy immediately stepped in. Trying to smooth it over. He said they'd go with me and help look. Then the third guy spoke. Don't make it weird. That sentence flipped something in my brain. Because I wasn't making anything weird. They were. I took one small step backward. The quiet guy matched it instantly. Watching my feet. That's when I realized something important. If I stayed at that junction, I wasn't leaving on my terms. So I ran. I spun around and sprinted uphill as fast as I could. Behind me I heard shouting. Then boots pounding against the trail. More than one set. I had trekking poles in my hands, and suddenly they felt useless. One snagged on a root and ripped out of my grip. I didn't go back for it. The trail was steep and loose. I almost wiped out on the first switchback but caught myself and kept running. I pulled out my phone while moving and tried calling for help. No service. Not even enough for a failed call. I looked back once. 2 of them were chasing me. The third one wasn't there. And somehow that was worse. Because it meant they had split up. Ahead of me I spotted a narrow side path cutting off to the right. It wasn't marked. Just a worn patch of dirt that probably led to a lookout. It could have been a dead end. But if I stayed on the main trail, I was predictable. So I took it. The path narrowed fast. Thick brush on both sides. Behind me I heard the footsteps on the main trail run past the turn. Then stop. A voice yelled that I went right. A second later someone started crashing through the brush after me. The path opened onto a rocky overlook. Dead end. I turned around and could hear them getting closer. So I searched for anything that went down. To the left was a steep drainage filled with pine needles, loose rocks, and scrub. It looked horrible to climb. But it went downhill. So I dropped into it. I slid more than I climbed. Branches ripped at my arms. Rocks scraped my hands. I slammed my knee against a boulder hard enough to make my leg buckle. But I kept moving. Then someone yelled. I see her. But it wasn't behind me. It came from above. One of them had already moved higher and was looking down into the drainage. They were trying to circle me. I hit the bottom and pushed into dense brush. Then I heard something that made my stomach drop. A radio crackle. Close. And a voice saying, "Cut her off." That meant they weren't all behind me. They were positioning themselves. I flattened behind a fallen log. Through the brush I could see legs moving slowly. They were searching carefully. Listening. One pair of boots stopped just a few feet away. I didn't breathe. Didn't move. After a long minute, the steps moved on. When the sounds finally faded, I crawled out and kept moving downhill. Eventually I pushed through a gap in the brush. and stepped back onto the main trail. And by sheer luck, there was a park ranger standing nearby. Full uniform. Radio. Everything. I grabbed his sleeve and explained everything as fast as I could. 3 men. Radios. Missing hiker story. Junction. Chase through the woods. The ranger's expression changed immediately. He asked one question. What missing hiker? I repeated the name they gave me. He shook his head and radioed dispatch. A few seconds later the reply came back. There was no active missing person case in that trail system. Nothing reported. Nothing ongoing. The entire story those men told me was fake. The ranger walked me quickly back toward the trailhead. Other hikers started appearing again. Families. Couples. People taking photos. It felt unreal how normal everything suddenly looked. At the parking lot, another ranger and a sheriff's truck were waiting. I gave a full statement. Descriptions. Radios. The junction. The chase. They sent someone up the trail to look. But the 3 men were gone. No sign of them. Eventually they gave me a case number and told me to call if I remembered anything else. Before I left, one of the rangers said something I'll never forget. If someone on a trail starts asking about your battery, your signal, and whether someone expects you back, don't keep talking. Just leave. I drove away with the doors locked and the windows up. I didn't stop until I reached a small restaurant near the highway. I just needed to sit somewhere crowded for a few minutes. When the server came to take my order, I reached for my wallet. And realized it wasn't in my pocket. I always keep it in the same zipper pocket on my backpack. So I pulled my bag onto the seat and opened the pocket. My wallet was there. But pressed right beside it was a small white round device. At first I thought it was an earbud case. Then I recognized it. An Apple AirTag. Someone had slipped a tracker into my backpack. Which meant at some point on that trail, one of them got close enough to plant it. I didn't even think. I walked straight outside. Threw it as far as I could into the trees behind the parking lot. Then I got in my car. Locked the doors. And drove home. Checking my mirrors the entire way. Just in case.